Hello, everyone. We are so excited to be here today. It's Jen Foster and Melanie Johnson. We're really excited to be here today because we have a great thing to talk about today. We're going to talk about publishing. We're going to talk about book publishing. And we are from Elite Online Publishing. So if you have had a book that you've been wanting to publish, then you're in the right place. If you don't know what the next step is, if you've written a manuscript or maybe you haven't even started writing and you're struggling to get your book together, well, we're here to help you, and we are going to help you make an impact to generate income, because that's what we do. We help best-selling authors to create income with their book, not just write a book and put it on Amazon and say, I hope this sells. No, we help you to write a book. So Melanie and I are here together. We're going to bring on Anita Henderson as well, and we're going to help you to stop that struggle and to get your book published so that you can start making money with your book, to build your business, to build your brand, and to make it a bestseller.
So we're here to give you a live training. We're going to walk you through step by step how you should do a book cover, how to create a title and a subtitle, what makes a great book, all the ins and outs of publishing, the formatting, all the tips and tricks of things that should go in your book, and editing and creating it all, book description, Amazon author page. Half the people don't even know what an Amazon author page is. So if you've been having that book in your head, I can tell you, we've worked with so many different authors that have had a book, I want to say sitting in their drawer, but it's really like on their desktop, right? So Cynthia Gill, I met her husband at a dinner party, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're a publisher? My wife has been sitting on this children's book for 7 years and just doesn't know the next thing to do. Like, she's nervous or she's scared. So we want to knock out the fear of taking your wonderful work, your baby, and getting it ready and transform it so you have a book that you can hold in your physical hands. So we're here to hold your hand today and transform you to walking through that fear, and what you should look for in a publisher, what you should do with your book cover, how to create a book cover, a great book cover, how to create a compelling title and subtitle, what should go in your book description. And most importantly, are you forgetting something that's supposed to go in your book? So many times, like, people say, well, I just don't want my book to suck, right? What if it sucks? So we've got Anita Henderson here that she's going to walk you through to make sure your book is amazing and tell you all the secrets and things to make sure you include and to look for when you're doing your book.
Welcome, Anita.
Hello, ladies. Super excited to be here.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. And we actually have a couple guests that are going to be coming on as well. So we're going to be here for an hour or so, maybe more. We'll see how many comments and questions we get at the end. I do want to do shout outs to some of the watchers. So hello, everyone who's watching. We have Karen. She says good morning. So good morning, Karen. And we have Kanika. Good morning, Kanika.
Hello.
So awesome. So great. Well, we want to kind of just jump right in. So we're going to just, let me just take that off. There we go. We're going to just have Melanie just jump right in, and let's just start teaching. I know a lot of authors come to us and say, where do I start? Or what do I do next? Or what about my book cover? And what about my manuscript? And they just have all these questions. And how do I become a bestseller? And do I put my book on Amazon? Or, all the different places. There's so many questions that they ask. And so we're just going to jump right in. It's kind of the time to start thinking about, the last couple quarters of the season. We got fall, it's sweater weather. We got, wearing hats and boots and all the fun stuff. So we're going to jump into getting the work done. So Melanie, why don't you teach us some things?
All right. So let's start with the book cover, right? That's the basic thing, because if you don't have a really good, pretty, compelling book cover, no one's going to click on it. It really starts with that. I would love to say it's the title, but a lot of times it's really the cover. It's like, you're scanning through Amazon and you're looking for something that's going to jump out at you. So what we teach our authors, so if you're even thinking about writing a book, we're going to walk you through one of the first meetings we have with book covers with our authors. And you can do this along with us. So you would want to jump on Amazon and take a look at book covers that speak to you. If you're writing a book on leadership, or you're writing a book about business, or you're writing a book about your life or your transition or to help people, you can look in your genre, or you can just look at best-selling books to begin with. Like, we're really focusing more on nonfiction authors here. So a couple things you should look for. You should look for colors that gravitate towards you. What colors stand out? Now I want to go a little deeper into color, because if you already have a brand, you have a website, you have a business and a brand, and your book is going to be used with that brand, then you need to stick to that color palette. Okay, so if your color palette for your business is blue and gold, then your book cover needs to reflect those colors. But you don't want to have like a purple book cover if your business colors are blue and gold, right? So you want to stay in that same vein. You can dominate with one color, like say, well, I like blue to be more dominant in my business than gold. That's fine. But you need to have those colors representative because you are a brand, you're continuing your brand. Now, if you don't have that, then the book is going to start the cornerstone of your brand, and you can pick the colors that really speak to you. And then you'll use that color throughout your brand, through your website. When we create websites for our author from scratch, we start with the book cover. So these are the colors that you picked out. This is what you think is great for your business. And then we transcend that into the author website, their business website, and it continues on to all of their materials. So keep that in mind. All right, so color's really important. The other part is to make sure you have contrast, okay? Because contrast, if your book is kind of gray with black lettering, you're not going to be able to read it. Or if you have white with gray lettering, you're not going to be able to read it. You want to have that dark with light or bright on there, or reverse, right? Light with bright and dark colors on top of that. Because you'll see when you scan through book covers on Amazon that some of them really pop out to you, and you're going to notice why. Now,
should we do that? I'll just jump on Amazon and you can.
Yeah, let's look at a couple. I think that would be a great exercise for them to do.
I'll share my screen here, and we're going to go to this place. Can everyone see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now look at that. Look at the red cover with the white lettering. Look how that really pops out at you there, right? Yeah. The CEO book, I can't read anything on there very well. I mean, maybe I need my glasses. That would be helpful. But still, you're just not, it just doesn't pop out as much. Like that red and white gravitates toward me. Look at that yellow and black. That just pops right off the screen. You want to like, oh, what is that book? So, and look at even the one like Atomic Habits, it doesn't really jump out at you. It may look great in person, but so many people do not buy 80% of the population buy their books on Amazon. So they're buying them from these tiny little icons that you're seeing. And again, that book up above it was great, but it still had bright colors with it. That Daring Greatly, right? That still pops out to you, that brightness.
And notice that the Getting Things Done, his book is white, right? And look how it just blends in with the background of the website of Amazon. So we don't recommend white books. If you are going to do white, you're going to need some shadowing, or you're going to need some border or something, because it just blends in. It might look great on the shelf, like Melanie said, but it's just going to blend in. Where these yellow ones, the red ones, the contrast ones, they're really sticking out.
Now let's stop. Go back to that 7 figures on the black background. Black is okay too. I would have, like, if we worked on this cover, we would have made the gold a little bit more vibrant, and same with the social selling is just kind of disappearing a little bit. But you can do that if you still want to have that deeper bronze or gold. Then we do tricks like doing a shadowing behind the 7 figures, so it gives it more depth. So these are things.
Something else to notice is the size of the font.
Yes,
right? So look at the blue one, the Business Made Simple. You can see the title, but I don't know what the rest of that stuff is. It's a lot. So think about the size of your point size for your title, and even for perhaps the author's name.
And pause here for a second, Jen, because that's so great to talk about fonts. So even though Atomic Habits, it doesn't have that contrast as much, but this is kind of a trend, as you'll notice with Clockwork, Good to Great, Atomic Habits are really giant words on the cover. That's really the trend going on right now. And the trend is that way because you are picking up these books from these small little icons versus buying them from the bookstore anymore. So really having that 2 or 3 word title is great, kind of brings us into the title, that you can have those big words across. And then also look, so you have the author's name at the bottom, but you can also have it at the top too. So saying, would I like my name at the bottom of the book? Would I like it at the top of the book? What I like, look at client retention. The author's name is in a band at the bottom, right? And it stands out. When you look at Tao Trading, his is just blended into the cover. And some people want that. So it's personal taste, but it's also what makes sense and really makes your book stand out.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. All right. We'll stop sharing. We're back.
We're back. Okay, let's talk about, so let's just review book cover. You want to continue with colors. If you already have colors for your brand, then continue that. If not, then know that those colors are going to become the cornerstone of your brand, and pick colors that are vibrant, that are really going to stand out. Then also think about font, like Anita said. What size font do you want? How do you want the book to look? And make sure, where do you think you want your name? Do you want it at the top? Do you want it at the bottom? And then we always tell our authors, make sure that you leave room for that bestseller status, right? Where are you going to put it? Are you going to put a sticker on the book? Are you going to put it at the top, international #1 bestseller? Because we do guarantee that with our authors, all of them have been #1 bestsellers. So we make sure we always leave room for that bestseller status on the cover of the book. Okay, let's dive into title and subtitle. So we kind of
wait, this is a treat, because this isn't something we normally give to everyone. I mean, this is something we work with our authors. When we have an author come to us on our very first onboarding call, we go over the title and subtitle. And so this is kind of like some really sweet, treat for you guys, because this isn't something that we normally just give away to everyone. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, or maybe you're watching the replay, you're going to get a really great value right here.
Look at Jen was rubbing her hands like it's yummy. This is a yummy thing that we got going here.
And this was taught to us by our mentor, and we know that this formula works. And if you look at how this works, you can see it in all the great titles of the past.
Yep. So book title, we talked about keeping it simple, right? 2 to 3 words. If you can get that oomph out in 2 to 3 words and say exactly what it is, so they know what they're getting. Okay. Then, also in the subtitle, she's going to do the yummy part, but I'm going to back up a minute, Jen, because you and I pull out that book, the one that I gave you at the end with the cover. So this is an example of someone who self-published their book. And I sent it to Jen this morning and I said, I want you to tell me by looking at the cover what this book is about.
Okay, let me make it so the cover's big. So you guys can look at the cover first. Okay.
And this author did not work with us, just to let you know.
Yes, this is a self-published book. Okay, here we go.
Somebody and I know this author, spoke with him.
Okay, here we go. Oh, it went away. I want to just see the cover. Here we go. Can you see it?
It went away again. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
No trees in the fairway. All right, what do you think this book is about? Anita, what do you think this book is about?
Golf.
That's what I thought. Golf.
Right? Okay. And can you really read that title? Is it compelling? Like, does it have enough contrast? It kind of like blends away, right?
It does blend. It does kind of fade away. And the font feels kind of dated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So this book is about a family's transformation from dysfunction.
Okay.
No idea, right? That's what that is about by the title. And they forgot to put a subtitle.
Yeah, there's no subtitle. Even if a cover piques your curiosity, that might be okay. But using the word fairway and trees and seeing both of those in the image makes me think it's about golf.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And his book description said it was dedicated to his daughters and talked about his daughters. So you still didn't really know what the book was about. It didn't all come together. It was about his relationships and his marriage and his family. So that is a really good tip. So make sure that your title has some inclination of what the book is about, right? We did Jamie Roots. It was the winning game plan, right? It was all about every time when we worked with Jamie, he'd always say, okay, what's the winning game plan for this project? What's the winning game plan to make this work, to make it a success? So, it was his theme. It told you what it was. So that's real important. And the other secret sauce that Jen was rubbing her hands about is what we do for the subtitle, because the subtitle really is where you can stick in keywords that Amazon, when you're searching for things, is going to pull that book up from the keywords. So that's really, really important. Pull that formula up.
Okay, here's the secret formula. And I want you guys to ask questions. Leave comments. If if you're watching live, leave some comments and I can show them up on the screen if you have questions or anything like that. All right, here we are with the title formula.
So this book is for, like, who is your audience, right? Who has this particular problem so that they can benefit from whatever the results are. Mm-hmm. And Anita, you're so great at this. You walk even the author through that. You ask them those questions when you're helping them create their book and when you're editing their book.
Right. So they're not just looking at the formula, trying to fill in the blank. It is something you think through as you're developing content for the book. Mm-hmm. And you're considering who your ideal reader is, and you're considering what the outcome should be for them, right? Mm-hmm. Your book's going to change people. What's the change that should happen at once they finish reading the book?
So even let's use like an example. We'll use weight loss because I think that's easy. People relate to that. So who is this book for? You could say it's for women who just had a baby and their problem is they're trying to lose that pregnancy weight, right? And the solution is a 10-day diet program that they're going to lose X amount of weight in a certain amount of days or something, right? Or a membership program or something that they're going to have. So you're spelling it out. You're spelling out who it's for. Then you're spelling out the problem that they have and the benefit and the solution that you're giving. And then you want to jam pack that with keywords. So we have meetings. We'll do it with the author, and then Jen and I and our team get together and we have these meetings of, all right, what exactly are the keywords? So we start doing search and putting it into AI and putting it into all of our software of, okay, what are the words that we should use instead of this word? Because this is searched for more often. This is going to help the book be more successful. So when you're thinking of that subtitle, you want to make sure it says those answers to those questions, but then the answer is filled with super duper, super popular keywords.
Yes, because
words that people would use to search for a book with that content.
Because Amazon is like Google, right? They're just a search engine. Mm-hmm. When you go on Amazon, you're looking for something. You're looking for a specific book. You're looking for us to solve a problem. You're looking for a camera. You're looking for an item. So you want to have the right keywords to put in to find your book. And if it's in that title and subtitle, as well as in the description, of course, there's all the back keywords and metadata stuff that we work with. But just in the title alone, if you have no subtitle, did you notice that No Trees in the Fairway had 0 subtitle? So they did not use that real estate that Amazon gave them and said, hey, do you have a subtitle? And they were just like, no. Instead of just saying, okay, what is this book about? He could have put the solving the problem of raising stepdaughters or whatever the book is about, right? So that would have helped a lot. And then if you think about the #1 best-selling books that people read over and over again, that's what they do. They tell you what you're going to get when you read it. How to Win Friends and Influence People, the 21 Laws of Leadership, what are some of the other ones, Melanie?
I'm going to use this one. How to Write Your Life Story and Leave a Legacy, one of our books.
Exactly. It tells you exactly what you're going to get. And this one, How to Write Your Story of Success to Impact the World, right? Like this tells you exactly what you're going to get.
And think about this as to think about the way Amazon works. It's not that someone's searching for your book or searching for a book at all. So think about the example that Melanie gave with the mamas trying to lose the pregnancy weight. They're searching for all kinds of things. It could be baby, it could be whatever. Using those keywords helps your book show up in that function at the bottom. People who bought this also bought this. Mm-hmm. So people who bought, whatever baby things you're buying in your first year of, when you're trying to lose the weight, they also bought this book that has those keywords in it. Or they also searched for those things. So that's another way that the keywords are really valuable on Amazon.
So you may say, well, Melanie and Jen and Anita, that's great. You guys said you have all this AI and this special software. I'm just me. How do I do that? So let me give you a secret. If you're doing this on your own, just use Amazon. Start searching things on Amazon that are in the category of what your book is, and you'll start to see some of these keywords in there. So if you don't have all the great, fancy tools that we do as a publisher, if you're looking to do it on your own, you can do that. So, put some keywords in there and see, hey, I'm writing a book about losing weight after pregnancy, and see what starts to pop up and some of those keywords. So that's a great exercise for you to do as well.
I love that.
So
are we going to dive into the book description a little bit now that we've talked about the cover and the title?
All right. So book description, we do have a formula kind of for this as well. So the cool thing about your book description is that you want to be able to have a tagline. You want to be able to have bullet points in there. You want to make sure it's full of keywords again, right? So tons and tons of keywords. And what do I mean by that? Again, the same thing that we talked about. Give me 1 second. I thought I had this pulled up of my secret little document, my Cliff Notes onto how to write a good book description. And then it went away.
That's okay. Well, you can pull that up, but what you want to make sure you do on your book description for sure is make it compelling. Notice on Amazon when you're looking at the book descriptions that it only shows the first 2 or 3 lines. So if that first 2 or 3 lines isn't compelling, no one's going to click read more and see the rest of the description.
Right.
And if you only have 3 lines for your description, that's not good either, because no one knows what your book is about. Like, tell them what they're going to get. What are the benefits? What are the things that, is going to compel them to buy the book? Right.
So it kind of starts with having that big, bold headline. So you want to make sure that it's in big, bold letters, that top that's in there. And we like to almost say like, hey, you have a problem, like almost reversing the book title. So what is the problem? Hey, are you struggling losing weight after your pregnancy? After that, and then, hey, well, we have the solution, and then here are some bullet points. So you want to, people don't like to read much. We're scanners now. We're not like in a huge block. So don't put this big block of text in there. Give me like 5 bullet points. So you're going to have like 2 sentences, 5 bullet points, and then a couple more sentences down below. And if you work with us and it's a #1 bestseller, like one of the last ones we did was the food prep book by Amy Lawrence. And right away in her book description, it says she's an international best-selling author in 13 categories, right? In 3 countries. So people are like, oh, wow, then that must be a good book. It just came out. Let me get that book. So you want to add things like that in there. If you have a testimonial, throw that in there. Anything else you can think of, Jen?
Yeah, there's a lot. So I actually want to address people who have published their book in the past, because Amazon finally caught up in the last probably year, I would say, that you can have bullet points and you can have bold text and you can have all this stuff. Before that, you had to have no HTML code in order to write a good book description. And so we used to always promote, hey, we use HTML book descriptions, which means we write code so Amazon's website can know that we want bold at the top and we want bullet points here and we want, a paragraph here. So now Amazon's caught up to the fact that they give you the tools to make it a good book description with making it bold and making the bullet points. So if you've published your book in the past and you have a block book description, that needs to be fixed, right? So whether you're doing it yourself or you want to use our help, we can help you to update that book description because you do want it to look amazing. Right.
And then one of the things we like to do is at the bottom have a call to action. So what is a call to action? A call to action could be check out my website. It could be I offer coaching and speaking. It could be leave me a book review. Would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. So leave some sort of call to action in there. So just to recap this, so you want big, bold headline at the top. And then you want, if it's a bestseller, you want to say that it was a #1 bestseller, how many categories it was bestseller in. And then you want to have the problem and the solution that you're going to put in there, some bullet points and a call to action.
I love it. That's great.
All right. We have a special guest that's coming on in about 6 minutes or so, but we're going to dive into Anita, right, Anita?
Yes, as Jennifer did.
Yes.
Guess what, everybody? You can't publish a book you haven't written yet. So I'm here to talk a little bit about The words that go on the
It was sitting in a
inside.
drawer, right? It's partially written.
Right.
Exactly. So we want to get you complete, right? We want to get you from once upon a time to the end with your nonfiction book. And the words matter. The cover is awesome. Don't do a bait and switch on your readers by having a phenomenal cover and book description and then have crappy text on the inside. That makes me sad. We don't want to do that. So we focus at Elite Online Publishing as much on the inside as we do on the outside, right, Melanie?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Words matter. So I am the word nerd, and I'm the sort of person, the geek who comes in and kind of helps you shape up all the content that's in your brain, probably in your notes, somewhere in your laptop or your tablet, or maybe even in your digital goodie bag, right? But we want to make sure that one of the things that helps your book be super duper successful really is the content. And when we're looking at writing the right words, we're looking at a couple of things. So I'm hoping that everybody is taking notes. So think about this. We're thinking about the clarity of what you're explaining. Remember, these are nonfiction books. So we're talking about memoir, right? A life story. We're talking about subject matter exploration. You're an expert in a particular area and you want to share that knowledge. We're talking about self-help, sometimes inspirational books, and you want to be clear with the information you're sharing with your readers. You want to look at accuracy, especially when we're citing sources, mentioning data and reports and different types of information. Accuracy is important. Relevance is key. I'm going to come back to all of these. We focus very highly on lead generation because, as Melanie mentioned, your book is part of your brand. And you want to use your book as leverage in your business and in your brand. So we talk about lead generation. And the big super duper knock their socks off secret weapon at Elite Online Publishing is story. You gotta have some stories in there. You can have all this other stuff and zero stories, and you're going to be missing a very important element of your book writing. So when we talk about clarity, we want to make sure that if you're teaching something in your book, or if you are sharing an aspect of your life, that it's clear, right? And so story is going to be the overarching theme with all of these, that you're telling a story in the basic storytelling way, right? You're going from the beginning action to the climax to the falling action. So you want to be clear about how your story starts, what happens in the middle, and how it ends, right? Think about any story you've ever read. It has that general formula. And then, of course, when you're teaching something, you want to make sure that the clarity is there so that your reader understands, right? The what, the how, the what goes into it, all the different elements. You're the expert, you know these things. And so we want to make sure that you're clear. The next thing is accuracy.
You unpacked a lot. So like it might be overwhelming. How do I make it so it's not as overwhelming, Anita, to make sure that I've got the stories and I made it clear?
Part of the thing we do is kind of chunk it, right? We break it down to the least common denominator, actually. So we look at the small, we go from big to small, right? You know, a lifetime's worth of things that relate to whatever your expertise is. No one wants to read everything you know. So let's get it down to a few main points.
Yeah.
And then maybe some data or some examples to follow each of those, right? So scale it down a little bit. And remember, when we're focused on an overarching theme of our book, just one theme, every book has one theme, then we can take that theme and break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. And that's how we get the accuracy and the focus that readers are looking for. They want you to hold their hand through the book. They don't want you to be all over the place. Just because you know a bunch of stuff doesn't mean it all goes in your book. And that relates to that third point, which is relevance, right? Lots of things happened in your life. Not all those things belong in your memoir. You know tons of stuff as it relates to your career. It doesn't have to all go in the book, right? And then, of course, lead generation is key, again, when you're using your book to support your business or your brand. You want people to do something when they finish reading your book. The question we ask authors all the time What do you want your readers to think, to feel, and to do when they finish reading your book? How will they know? It should be super obvious to them. And it will be when you do what we call plant seeds in your book. Plant seeds in your book. So this is something like, for example, Amy Lawrence did this wonderfully in her book, The Power of Food Prep. She talked about recipes and techniques and tools and resources that people could use rather than slow the flow of the reading, right? As people are reading the book, she says, you know what, if you want more about this, go to my website. If you want to know about this particular resource or tool that I use, or this element that I use in the kitchen, go to my website and find out more about that. And she puts her website in there. And of course, there's a whole strategy that we use to make that lead equal something for you. Right now, you know who's reading your book because they wouldn't have gotten that link otherwise. So that's the lead generation part.
And isn't that wonderful?
Writing aspect.
It ties into not everything can go in your book, right? And you're like, oh, like you said, but those are my babies. You say the author calls them my babies. I don't want to let go of my babies.
Don't kill my darlings, right? Yes. Don't kill my darlings.
Guess what? Your darlings can live somewhere else, right? Exactly. They can go into your website. They can be made into videos that people can opt into to get the videos, to get this extra content. So it doesn't have to die. It's just not going to live in the book, and you're going to send them somewhere else to get this other content, which I love. And that's one of the
that's especially true, in my opinion, for people who want to write the book and then they also want to write a workbook.
Right.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's perfectly fine. You can do 2 books, but I personally think you benefit even more if whatever content you think goes in your workbook, you put it as a lead in your primary book and send people to your website to get it. Because when they go there, they're not just going to get a landing page. They're going to offer you something, their email address, their name. You might ask them 1 or 2 questions that could help you. You're not going to do a whole survey, but now you're capturing leads. That's how it becomes a lead generating tool in your marketing toolbox.
Love that. Hey, we have our special guest ready to join us. Thank you, Anita, for telling us all about that, of how you write, what kind of quality you need in your book, and all of the things that you just taught us. It's so much good stuff. People might have to rewind that and take more notes.
And we're going to go back and dive even deeper in there. And one of the things, that Anita brought up that kind of leads into our special guest is the purpose of your book. Right? She says, like, why are you writing this book? So we've had people write their book for just one client, to get their foot in the door to one client. We've had people write it to become a speaker, to get certain speaking gigs. We've had, and our next author wrote it with the intention of, he wanted that blue check mark on Instagram, which means you're verified. And when you're verified, people pay attention. He'll explain what that means and what doors that open for him. So I'm going to introduce Nathan Johnson, who is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling author. He has 4 businesses that he runs at the age of 22, multimillionaire, and entrepreneur. Hard to keep up with him. He's always starting another LLC and adding it and reinventing his business and making it better and better. He is the owner of Lolly. He is the owner of Instagrams that are over 9 million followers. Nathan Johnson, welcome to our feed today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So good to see you. You cleaned up really well.
Yeah, I try my hardest. I've got some cuts on my bill from last night, but we're hanging in there as much as we can.
So I just want to clarify, the cuts are from what did you do last night?
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so it wasn't a street fight. Everybody knows.
But no, I'm doing well, and I'm happy that I could make an appearance here.
Yeah. So walk us through before you had your check mark and getting involved in the book project and how that helped get you that blue check mark. And then, because people ask us all the time, what's the ROI on a book? And we always say, hey, just don't get tied up in all of the royalties of $2.50. Think about the other doors that it's going to open up for you. So talk about the doors that, you got the blue check mark and what doors it opened and how the ROI of that generated for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the when you're young, it's really difficult to get any kind of credibility in any industry. So before I was verified, I was 19. So being a 19-year-old entrepreneur, nobody takes you seriously.
Yeah.
Almost like rightfully so, because what does a 19-year-old know? Like 19-year-old me knew nothing compared to what I know now.
Yeah.
But it was hard to get any kind of credibility. Hard for people, they didn't take me seriously. Unless you're a celebrity and you're verified and you've got, articles written about you and you've got a book and you have, money to back up all your claims, like it's virtually impossible to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So for me, writing a book and contributing as a co-author to the Authority book that is now out, that did really well, that gave me that title of #1 best-selling author, because
Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestseller.
Yeah. So because of those things, I was able to use that to submit my verification. I got some articles based on the book and I got approved, which was like a super surreal experience. I think it was December. It was near Christmas. So it was a really good like Christmas gift for me just to see the blue check. I was raised in the social media era. So I was into Vine when I was super young, like 2011, 2012. I was into Instagram. So for me, being verified was always like a life goal. So because of the book and because of those doors that it kind of opened up for me, I was able to get verified, be able to say like, hey, I'm a #1 best-selling author. It does really contribute to people taking you a lot more seriously. And because of that, and because I'm now verified, I mean, it's been, I would say, like, so far in my life, it's had $1 million worth of value being verified and having the book and having articles written about me and doing all of those things and basically investing in my own brand, investing in who I am has the most like, it's been the highest ROI on any investment that I've ever made, investing in myself. So that's really what I attribute the novel to.
And I love that you say investing in yourself. And that's what, people have to realize when they write a nonfiction book or a business book, it's investing in their brand, right? It's investing in them. It's investing in their credibility. It's investing in their social media footprint. And I know you were telling, a lot of people don't know what being verified on Instagram means. Tell us what that means, like in the messages and how that helps.
Yeah. So when you're verified, there's kind of a social acceptance on Instagram. In DMs, you're going to be ranked higher than everybody else. So your DM is going to go to the top of the people's inboxes. If you comment on a post, it's going to be more recognizable and more noticeable. And also, it looks cool. It makes you look like you're reputable, like you have a good reputation, because Instagram doesn't verify just anybody. So for a 19-year-old at that time, for a 19-year-old to have the blue check when I wasn't being taken seriously, it allowed me to really propel myself into these connections that I had been wanting to make for so long. So through being verified, I met somebody from Mark Cuban's team that I ended up working for Mark Cuban as the chief marketing officer for a number of months before I eventually left to start my own company based on what I was doing there. That's just kind of in my blood. Like, that's just what I do. But that was all through being verified. I was able to meet Mark Cuban, do an interview with him, actually with you.
Yeah.
Work for him as a marketing officer, learned so much about kind of the industry that is cryptocurrency through that. And just so many other things. I mean, we built Lolly, my modeling agency, based off of being verified. That's the only reason we're able to get any clients, any big names. And now we work with people who have as many Google searches as Kim Kardashian now. So it's been a very wild ride. And that verification is basically Instagram's stamp of approval on your account saying that we like this person. They are reputable enough to have that blue check and to be basically accelerated in. If Instagram was society, it's like you get into the most exclusive, country club and all, right? Because I live in Houston. and then you're meeting all the people in that country club and nobody else can even get in. That's
so you say, like, what is that ROI worth, right? So when we tell someone you're writing a book and that door opens up, how would you like to get a job working with one of Mark Cuban's companies? How would you like the door open to meeting these different people? Because it quantifies it, it gives you this credibility. So would you recommend people to get off their butt and write their book, or if they had it sitting around for a long time, to actually do it?
Yeah, I mean, what I say to everybody, because I do some live streams on some of my Instagram pages, and I'll have thousands of people who are watching who are my age or younger, asking, how do I start? What do I do? And the answer is you just have to do it, right? If you've been wanting to write a book, you just have to do it. What is, waiting around going to do? There was this quote that I heard from somebody on Instagram, funny enough, but it was a celebrity. It was somebody famous who said that imagine if when you're on your deathbed, all the ghosts of your potential, right, came to you and they were all pissed at you because you didn't take advantage of, like, hey, you could have been an author. This would have opened up these doors for you and you didn't do it. Instead, you wanted to play video games, or you wanted to, you were too scared to make the investment because, oh, what if there's a recession coming and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to be pissed that you didn't take that action.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped out of college, which is a huge take action for me.
Yeah.
When I do things, I like obsess about them and I like go all in. And that's really the only way to make it in a world where the odds are stacked against you. Like, if everybody could be successful, then being successful wouldn't really even be fun, right? The whole, it's fun. Sorry about that.
Cat crossing.
Yeah. The whole reason that it's important is, and it means something to me, is because it's a form of accomplishment that not everybody else has. So if everybody had a Lamborghini, I probably wouldn't want one anymore, right? So if everybody were a #1 best-selling author, then it wouldn't be important. But the purpose of being a best-selling author is that it's very, very rare that you see people that are, Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestsellers, especially, like that is a crazy accomplishment. And the longer you wait, you could even reason with yourself, the longer you wait, the less cool it is. If I would have had a best-selling book at 13, I probably would have gotten into some Ivy League colleges, right? So if people are doing it for their kids, if you're worried about, I had really bad grades for 2 years. If my mom was into publishing as much, because you were back then, but not to the extent you are now. Now your knowledge is way more vast than it was then. But imagine if, you would have written me a book and made me a bestseller back in high school. Yeah. Probably would have gotten into some kind of Ivy League college or something, because nobody really does it. So if you're hesitating on book publishing, PR packages where you get articles written about you, verification, any of those things that build your own brand, it's just like infinitely valuable. It's been infinitely valuable to me. And if there is one investment I made in my life, whether it's the car, the house, because I'm a big car guy. I have an amazing car that I love. I have a house that I love. I have a lot of things, but out of everything, if I had to only keep one, it would be the book and the press and all of like the verification, the brand that I built. Essentially, I would just keep my brand, and that's it. You could put me on the street and I'd be fine because of all the connections that those things have made me. Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. If there's no reason to not do it.
I love that. It's taking that massive action and making that decision, getting through the fear, not worrying about the investment or the money, and just moving forward. And then the book starts to work for you and your brand. And the other thing is it helps other people. If it's a nonfiction book, you're informing other people and changing their lives with your book.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I actually have people say that they read the book. It was really interesting. Now I think the Instagram use that I gave in the book is now Devin's, my business partner. So I gave him Weekday Rehab, which was my previous name. So Devin has said that he's gotten DMs from people saying like, hey, did you know you're in this book under Nathan Johnson? And then he has to send those people to me. But it's cool to hopefully help people gain some kind of motivation. Or a lot of people my age feel like they're too late, they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to be able to give to people a little bit of confidence and like show them that it is possible. Like I've had people come over to my house from high school and they see kind of the way that I have my life set up, and I'm very blessed to be in this position. But you know, I have, thank God, somebody who cleans my house, because I would not clean my house. I would not have patience, and all of these, the fruits of my labor. Essentially, they see these things, and they're like, "And you're only 22. I'm 21. I can do this." Like, and a lot of people don't think it's possible. I had great role models growing up. I had you. I had my uncle Mark. I had Jen as well, because Jen was always on the phone with us.
Yep.
13 and going out to Utah for conferences and stuff. So honestly, it's something that I was shown that it was possible through role models and mentors, but a lot of people don't have that. And so being able to serve as that mentor for people has meant a lot for me, and it makes me very passionate about what I'm doing. So that's another unknown benefit to have this book.
And your Instagram is, because it's not Weekday Rehab anymore. What's your current Instagram?
I got Nathan Johnson now. So cool. So, but again, a brand investment there. I didn't want to be known as Weekday Rehab anymore. That was my favorite, like 17, you know. So now I'm at Nathan Johnson, super clean. Instagram gave that to me, and that was another brand investment that was very, very worth it.
Awesome. And what's the name of the book that you're in that you hit Wall Street Journal, and where can people go to get it?
It's Authority, and I'm pretty sure you can get it almost everywhere, but Amazon is the best place.
Yep.
That I prefer. Is one click and you get it. So I prefer it on Amazon. But Authority on Amazon, and it's by, you can see one of the names, Nathan Johnson. So make sure you're getting that.
Awesome. Thank you for being on, Nathan.
Of course.
We also have another special guest. Melanie, did you have any other questions for Nathan before we let him go?
No, thanks for coming. In full disclosure, yeah, Nathan is my son. One of my sons.
All right, guys. Appreciate you having me, and good luck with the rest of the stream. I'll be watching.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Awesome. All right. Well, next we have another wonderful guest to come on the show. And she just recently became a #1 international bestseller. And we're excited to have her on. Melanie, do you want to tell a little bit about Kate before we bring her on?
Oh my gosh. So we're going to continue to teach you, right? But our guests kind of came in. They've been coming in when they're available. So we have way more to teach you. Let me just preface that. We're going to talk about beta readers with Anita. And some of you are like, what? What's a beta reader? But we're going to teach you what a beta reader is. Jen's going to talk about formatting, the inside of your book, mistakes that people make, things to watch out for. We're going to talk about promoting and launching your book and marketing your book. That's probably the biggest question we get all the time is, how do I market my book? So Kate, we just launched her book, Kate DeLeo. Kate is an amazing superstar brand expert. She just got done working with us on our brand, and we launched her book. She became a #1 international bestseller, I believe, in 3 countries. And she's going to be here and talk about her experience.
Awesome. Welcome, Kate.
Well, hello, my friends. How are you doing?
Good, Kate the rock star. How are you?
I'm well. By the way, I think we all got the memo for kind of the blue-green tones today. So
Yes.
as long as everybody's prepared to wear red tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Love it.
So tell us I love the story. I want you to tell us the story of, you were going to be a speaker, right? You started having these speaking gigs, but nothing was paid for. And then we did your book launch. So tell us what happened.
Oh my gosh, you guys were the best. So of course, you decide to start to write a book, and if you're crazy enough like me, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a book. And then you get in the process and you go, how do I market this? Like, how do I actually get it out there? Like, I didn't even think about it when I started writing. So of course, in swoop Jen and Melanie, who you guys have been tremendous partners for my business. And so what happened for me, and this was just incredible. I was not expecting this. So here we are. We launch our book in July, and This was actually on the hinges of me going on a honeymoon. And so I come back, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to be gone for a week and a half, but good luck. Let's go launch the book. So we come back, I launched the book with you guys, and I get an email a week and a half later after the book hit international bestseller. And by the way, when I say that this book hit international bestseller fast, it did. It hit within, how many days was it, Jen? Just a few days. It was crazy.
Yeah, 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days.
So I was going, huh? You know, I was just hoping to sell a couple hundred copies. I'm like, hey, let me call my friends. And you're like, no, hold on. You can do this. So you guys just expanded my confidence on what was possible with this book, which I think was just a profound moment for me of realizing like I can do this and this can have a huge impact on the business. So I actually got a call about a week and a half later. And I remember texting you guys because I said, you won't believe this. I was slated to pay my own way, go speak for a 30-minute session at a Premier Marketing conference. And what they offer, they say, speakers, listen, you can come, but you have to pay your own way and do that. And so I had some dates on the books, and I said, okay, great. They turned around and offered me to also teach a 4-hour masterclass in 6 cities across the country. And they said, we'll pay your own everything. We'll pay your airfare, we'll pay your hotels, we'll give you a paid stipend for the whole thing. So here I was going from me paying my own way to try and market myself and market my book to my book actually turning into the thing that now pays me to go speak and land clients. It blew my mind, you guys. And it would not have happened had this book had not hit best-selling status.
And people say, well, how soon will I get my money back in my book? Again, please don't get into $2 royalty. You made $30,000.
I did.
The first speech. So
I did.
What ROI is that? Just think about that.
Yeah. The investment that you're making with your book, when you think about it, you're investing your time, you're investing your heart and your soul. Absolutely. But then when you think about even beyond the editing process and then in that marketing process, it's just like any other marketing tactic or sales tactic that you think that you need to deploy for your brand and your business. It's really asking a big ROI question. Ultimately, for me, the ROI was immediate. For me to show up on that stage, knowing that I could teach and share my expertise in person, which, by the way, that method aligned beautifully with the way that I wrote the book, right? I love to teach. That's just me. You guys, I was able to get on that stage and turn around, and I had 2 clients begging to come work with me within a matter of a day.
I love it. And imagine if you only had a book that they said, oh, you're the author of Muting the Megaphone. But now when you speak, you are the international best-selling author of Muting the Megaphone, right? So just that title alone, when they introduce you, is worth more than $30,000, because how much are your clients? Like, clients are paying you now, right? So I think, Kate, you're the ideal client for us, because we want to show others how using your book to build your brand really works. Right. Because a lot of authors say, well, I wrote a book and I haven't made any money. Well, you're looking at how many sales you've made, and it isn't about how many sales you've made. And how many books did you even give away at your events? Do you give your books away?
I give nothing away. Do you know what's interesting? And I remember you guys telling me, you thought, you're crazy, Kate. And I thought, well, hold on. Yeah. I don't care about book sales. You might be saying, how is Kate on this right now talking with you two? And I say, I don't care about book sales. Let me explain. I know that I want book sales. I know that book sales are an indicator of success for the book. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But if I were to sit here and try and turn my entire business into go sell 1 million copies of my book, is that really going to put me in the lane that I need to be doing the work that I do? No. In fact, I do branding for a living. This is what I do. I work with 300 companies globally to help them write brands, right? So you think about it, it is not in my best interest to sit here and sell books. What it is in my best interest is to use the book as a piece of my marketing toolkit that enables me to have a level of status and expertise in the marketplace that says, yes, we're going to have her on this stage. Yes, we're willing to have her. Instead of me applying for stages, they come in. They come ask me. And that for me was the ticket of actual revenue growth.
Yeah.
See, and that kind of chimes in with what Nathan was saying. It's the bigger picture. It's that credibility. It's investing in your brand. It's people saying that title with you every time they announce you on stage, and everywhere you go, you're an international best-selling author, and how that raises the bar, can raise your prices for your products and services as well. It does so many more things than just selling books. And we love that you get that 100% and experienced it just recently.
I mean, it was immediate. It was immediate. You know, talk about, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll feel a result of this 6 months from now. Remember our initial conversation? I said, I'd love to sell 1,000 books in the next, year or two if I'm on how many stages, right? And so here we are, we've blown by those numbers. We've not only had the book sales and by the way, here's the power of your book. So get this. So I'm on these stages. I was in Minneapolis, Boston, and I was in New York, all in the month of August. So just in the last few weeks, right? So I'm out there and I'm doing these master classes that they paid me to go and do. And then I teach a 30-minute workshop. My book sales went through the roof, of course, but what was the coolest part was I didn't really promote it. I mean, I talk about it throughout my talks a little bit, and then I mentioned this in my book. And by the way, this is kind of your guide. And I just had a QR code. I was there to teach, but I had a QR code, you guys, on the final slide. I had how many phones go up to scan that QR code. And I had posts on social media from total strangers tagging me and tagging the book and say, I just heard Kate talk on this and I got her book. You guys need to check it out. Now that is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that social share and the people just, automatic word of mouth advertising through social media, through the international world is just priceless.
It is. If social media is an important part of this, how do you expand how many followers, people who are starting to listen to your voice? Again, our book is supposed to be our proof point that we're the experts in what we say and do.
Yeah. So would you recommend if someone is started their book, it's been halfway written, partially written, or written, and it's just sitting there, or they're thinking about it, would you recommend for them to do it?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. In fact, there's no other way to go about this. It's fascinating. I've worked with other publishers. I've talked with other publishers, and you never disparage them. They're all great at what they do. But here's the deal. What sets you guys apart is the fact that you are truly not only just publishing experts, you're marketing experts. And so the ability to help somebody as an author translate, how do I take this thing that's been living up here and actually get it out? And then how do I make up an actual plan to leverage this for my business? And a lot of times publishers will do it the other way around. They just go, here's how you get sales. Well, but that's not necessarily in the best interest of the business. I got to sit down with you guys in the part of my marketing journey when we did the roadmap, when we did the VIP day, and then when we came up with the plan, is we were able to sit down and then specifically go, here's my specific goals for the business for the next 12 to 24 months. And then you helped me reverse engineer, which that just was so invaluable to say, okay, based on everything else that I got going on, how do I work this into the whole picture of what I'm trying to accomplish?
I love that.
So tell us where to find your book, the name of your book, and where to get it.
Sure. Well, okay. If you are super curious about branding, this idea of how do you build a brand and a message that's going to get more of the right prospects to the right table at the right time, you can certainly check out my website, which is www.katedileo.com. That's Kate, KATEDILEO.com. Or, of course, check it out on Amazon.com. The name of the book is Muting the Megaphone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Kate. You're a great value add to our live stream today. And we're excited that we were able to work with you as well and getting our branding done.
Oh my gosh, I so appreciate you guys, and can't wait for the next book to work with you.
Yeah, she's got another one coming out. So, and again, it's not about those royalties. It's about how using that book, she made $30,000 in the first 2 weeks. So Shazam, right there. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
Talk to you soon. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful story. Yeah. All right. Are we ready to bring Anita back on? And let's
bring Anita back on. Let's talk about beta readers. All right. So she's going to pick it up.
Woo, phenomenal results. I like that. I like the numbers. I'm a words girl, but I like some numbers when it has a dollar sign in front of it. And Kate, she's laid it out right there.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We're going to move forward and talk a little bit more about the writing.
Let's do some shout outs real quick.
Oh, yeah. Shout out.
Shout outs. So we had a few questions about the book description, so I commented on that. We had Kanika ask about if the book description for Amazon is the same as your back cover or jacket, and no, they're not the same. So, I mean, there's kind of a lot to it, but I'll just give you the short answer, which is they're not the same, because most of the Amazon descriptions we help you write don't fit on a back cover. So that's not usually what we do. But you can figure out what is best to put on the back cover and the jacket, which is different than Amazon. And then we also had, I think you say it, Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany. It's Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Nicole. Hey, Tiffany.
Okay, I like Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany.
I like the P. Tiffany said, thanks, Nathan, for the wealth of knowledge. So I just want to give those shout outs. And awesome. All right.
And great to see everybody there. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. And keep the questions coming, right? And keep the notes taking going, okay? So I love what Kate...
One more time, Anita, just so you know, there is going to be an offer at the end of this. If you're ready to take action, we're going to teach you, we're going to inform you, but we're also going to have an offer.
Yes.
Absolutely. So hang in there. I was going to say what I love what Kate was talking about, because all the stuff with that marketing ties into your words.
Yeah,
she's not selling a book that's terrible. So she talked about the clarity in her book. She talked about the accuracy, the relevance. She has some lead generation in her book, and obviously she has some story. So we didn't get to touch on the story thing. I'll quickly go through that and just say that everything is story. From the time we are children, our brains are trained to connect to story. And so you've got to make sure you've got some compelling stories in your book. So those are our writing secrets. And it make that whole story thing gets me to thinking about one of the authors that we're working with. His name is Dave, and he was feeling stuck. He's like, oh my God, I feel like I keep going around and around and around in circles, and I'm not making the progress on my writing that I want to make, because I keep going back to read what I wrote, and I want to fix that and make it right, because I know it's going to land in Anita's hands, and I want to make it just right for her. And so our advice to her, my advice to him, I'm sorry, was that you need to write forward, not backward. So here's a tip to all of you who are watching. Write forward, not backward, meaning that when you're in your writing sessions, just keep writing. The whole point of the first draft of your manuscript is to get to the end. Get some content in all the right places and get to the end. Don't spend your time going back to read what you already wrote and fixing it, because you are halting your forward progress. So write forward, right? Make notes to yourself. So the next time I come back to write in chapter 3, I know these are the topics that I'm going to cover, but just keep writing. The whole point is to get to the end, okay? So those are some writing tips. And then we want to make sure you understand the value of editing. Copy editing is essential.
I want to comment on your writing tips, because I know a lot of authors come to us and say, well, I'm almost done with my manuscript. And then it's another 3, 4, 5 months before they're done. And most of the reason is because they keep going back and re-editing and redoing, and they haven't finished it because they still need like 3 more chapters, and they're never going to finish the 3 chapters because they keep going back. Like you said, they're trying to go backwards, forwards instead of forward to back.
Right. You take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. You never get finished, because most times authors don't understand the process. They don't understand that when they're done with their first draft, there's multiple people who take a look at your book afterwards, right? You have a copy editor. We're going to talk a little bit about copy editing. You have Anita, who's going to be your coach to review and revise. And then, of course, you have beta readers, and we're going to touch on them as well. So you, as the author, are not the end-all, be-all for the content of your book. When you work with Elite Online Publishing, you've got a whole team of people who have got your back. We want to make sure that the words are right. We want to make sure that the clarity and the relevance and all of those things and the storytelling is there and it's effective. We know that by the time you get to the end of your book, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what I said. I'm so sick of reading this manuscript. But you have us to back you up to make sure that your content is great. So don't try to fix it and perfect it in the first go round. Get through it and let the rest of the team support you. One of those support mechanisms is copy editing. And you want to make sure copy editing is way more than just making sure that all of the commas are in the right place, right? Copy editing really speaks to the structure of your book to make sure that things flow well, right? That your instruction is clear, going back to the clarity, that if you're writing an inspirational book, that there's some inspiration there, and there's actually some emotion there, right? I tell people all the time, if you can get me to cry in your inspirational memoir, you've got 2 thumbs up right there. And I read a lot of manuscripts. So you want to make sure the accuracy, the consistency is there. That's what copy editing does, right? Readers can tell if you skip this part, so don't skip this part. Yeah. Give your readers the high five of knowing what good writing looks like. They're avid readers, and yours is one of many books that they read. Okay. The other part that's backing you up, and this is truly, truly the secret weapon to making sure that your book is supercharged, that your content is amazing. And that is your beta readers. These are your test readers. These are the people who will be basically a profile of your ideal reader. And they're going to take a look at your manuscript before it's copy edited. And that's the point where they come in. After you've done, a couple of rounds of revisions, they come in and they take a look at your manuscript to decide, does it hit the nail on the head? Does it meet the goals that you set forth? Is it going to lead them, right, through your lead generation to do the thing you want them to do, to make the big splash that Kate talked about, which is tell somebody else about the book, call me and ask me to be your coach. You want people to take action. Remember, what do you want your readers to think, to feel, and to do when they finish reading your book? Your beta readers can guide you in that direction. We had an author earlier this year, Donna Peters, who went through the beta reader process, and she sent her manuscript to her beta readers, and she was like, I got crickets, Anita. Like, I didn't hear from anybody for like 3 days. And she said, I had to stop myself from following up to say, hey, did you get it? What did you think? But when because she was like, oh my God, did they read it? They didn't like it, and they don't want to hurt my feelings, right? But they were so engaged and so enthralled by her content. Some of our beta readers read the book twice before they got back to her. And she said the comments and the recommendations were so rich and so helpful. They truly improved her manuscript. And that is the whole purpose behind the beta reader process, is to make your manuscript that much better for the people you've designed it to be for. And that is your secret weapon.
Yeah, make sure you're not giving it to like your mom, right? Or your dad, or your brother,
or your spouse.
Right. Spouse, because they're, even if they are your ideal reader, they're just too close to the circle. Like Anita said, it's got to be the person that would actually pick up your book and buy your book, right? They can still be an acquaintance or a friend, but can't be too close in that inner circle. They have to be someone who is would want to get that book.
Right. That was going to be my question. I think that everyone has is, who is a beta reader and how do I get them and who do I choose? And that's great to know, because a lot of times you think, oh, well, my mom was an English teacher or whatever, right? And you say, oh, she should be the beta reader. No, probably not, because she's not your ideal client or the ideal person who should read your book.
So, and there is an approach. There's an approach to, I'm sorry, Jen, there's an approach to figuring out how many beta readers you need, who they should be, what questions you ask them, because guess what? We don't just hand over our manuscript and say, take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
That's not our process. We go very in depth, and then the response we get back and how we treat those beta reader comments matters greatly.
Yeah. Well, and there's more to it than just sending it to them and getting comments too, right? I mean, don't you give them something in return for being a beta reader?
Well, a lot of authors ask that. What should I pay people to be my beta readers, and should I do something extravagant for them or give them a gift? Here's another little secret that people don't realize, is that most people are honored that you even ask them to read an early version of your book. And so the most that you would really need to do for them is to thank them first and foremost and mention them in your acknowledgments. That is huge for people. Can you imagine if you were somebody's beta reader and they thanked you in their acknowledgement of their book? That's always there. That book's there forever. Right. So that is true payment for people.
Yeah, true payment. I was going to say, well, then you would want to give them maybe a signed copy of the book
A
But
signed
if
copy,
but if
absolutely.
they're in the acknowledgments, they're probably going to be like, I got to go buy that book right now, so because I'm in it.
Yeah,
Right?
and they
Not
want to
only are
share
they
it.
going to buy it, but they're going to tell other people, you've got to
Yeah.
get Jen's book. She mentioned me as a beta reader. You're going to
Yeah.
love it. They're going to tell them. So they're now part of your, guerrilla marketing team, right? They're getting the word
Yes.
out there because
Mhm.
they're in the book and they helped make the book awesome. They feel a sense of ownership.
Yep. Well, let's transition over to the formatting. Anita, that was great, great, great stuff. Words, beta readers, making sure you have the right content, making sure you got accuracy, and story, story, story. So let's jump over into formatting. Okay, formatting is Jen's thing. I'm so glad Jen is our expert formatter, because that is not what I do best. Her team does the formatting. And, but I hear about oh my gosh, this was like, we used the word, it was like gorilla. We'll use the gorilla again. It was a gorilla to try and format this book, or there was issues with it. So, you can get your head in the weeds with formatting, can't you? And I think that's where people get frustrated if they're trying to do it themselves, or even if they're working with somebody.
Yes, the formatting is a huge thing, and there's a lot of mistakes. And I'm going to have, you, Melanie, and Anita, you guys can chime in anytime, because I know, Anita, you help a lot with this in writing the book, right? But the very first mistake is really what goes in the book, right? Because when it comes to formatting, people are just like, here's my Word document. And I've actually seen a few times where they'll come to me and say, well, I've already had my book formatted. And I say, okay, well, I would like to take a look at it. And I look at the book, and it looks like a Word document, 8.5 by 11, which, by the way, most books are not 8.5 by 11. They're usually 5.5 by 8.5, or 6 by 9, or 7 by 10. They're totally different than 8.5 by 11. So when I talk about format, I mean the size of the book. That means the interior pages size, and then what's inside the book. So besides all the margins and the layout and all of that, it's what goes in the book. So that includes your copyright page, your title page, your content of the book, your chapters, the headings, all of those things, as well as what goes in the back of the book, which is, your about the author, and, more details, acknowledgments, all of those kind of things go in the back. Glossary. Some people have a glossary, some people have citations, some people have bibliography. Like, there's so many different things depending on the book. So, Anita, I want you to talk about this question, because I get this a lot, is what about pictures? I want to put pictures in my book. It's a memoir. I want it to be like 100 pictures. Can we do that? What's the answer, Anita?
The answer is that your book is a book for readers, unless you're making a coffee table book that's full of pictures. You don't want a gajillion pictures in your book, right?
Right.
So there's a reason for that. And I'll let you talk about that in terms of what Amazon's rules are.
Yeah.
But pictures are wonderful, but they have to be the right pictures. We're looking for clarity, right? They need to be not grainy and not super dark or super bright. And then, of course, we need captions for your pictures. You can't just put a picture up there and we have to guess a picture with 10 people in there, and we're looking for you in the picture. So it matters where the picture needs to tell a story. It needs to support the story you're telling. And they need to be the right pictures. And Jennifer, talk about what Amazon is looking for in terms of the number of pictures that is in your book and why that matters.
Yeah, there's a tech side to it, right? There's always a tech side to everything. So I'm kind of the tech. But when you have a Kindle book and a paperback, they're two different things, or hardback. And you do want to have them the same. I've had some people actually in the last book, The Power of Food Prep, we were going to maybe eliminate some of the pictures, because the file size of the ebook has to be, so if it has too many pictures, you can't put the price low enough. And we wanted to do a 99-cent book launch campaign. And so you have to have the right file size for that. So it's all the tech part of it. But at the same time, it's a recipe book. So we need to have pictures, right? So there's a lot to it that way. But as far as memoirs and those kind of things, you also want to have, like Anita said, pictures with captions and pictures in the right place, but not too many pictures. It's not a scrapbook. That's a totally different thing. I use Blurb every year. Blurb has great hardback books you can print. And I put every picture, I usually pick like so many pictures a month to put in for my yearbook that I have. But those are the pictures for me and my family to look at. If I was to write a memoir, I would not include all of those pictures, right? Of course, you want to have some key photos, but you don't want a ton of pictures. that being said, we recently just had an author come to us, and he said, well, I was talking with someone, they told me I can't have any pictures at all. And his book is a true crime. He's a detective, so it's a true crime book. He's telling stories about all of these things, and he has evidence and proof in these pictures. And I thought, well, why wouldn't you have any at all? Because if you have a picture with the proof and the evidence, wouldn't you want to show that with a caption above where you're talking about it? Yes, you would. And he wanted it in there, but someone told him he couldn't have any pictures, which is not true. You can have pictures. You just don't want every page to be a picture.
Right.
Unless it's a children's book. Now that's a whole nother story, but we're talking about nonfiction books right now.
Right.
Not picture books, because we'll leave the picture books to the children's books, right?
Jennifer, talk about the importance of the font for the text. Like there's different fonts and different types of fonts in a book for headings and the body copy and that, and talk a little bit about the importance of that.
Yes. So there is definitely a way to lay out a book, the right fonts for your headers, for your body text, for your headings and your footers, headers or footers. You want to have text that's readable. You don't want super fancy text, right? You want text that you can read easily. We recently had an author, as a couple years ago, he actually just released a children's book, and he has a reading disability of dyslexia. So dyslexic people, it's hard for them to read certain fonts, but there's actually a dyslexic font. So we chose to do his book, Untethered, in a dyslexic font. Now, on a Kindle book, it's not going to be in dyslexic font because Kindle readers can't read that, right? So Kindle readers, which is the tech part of it. So when you're reading on a Kindle, you can choose what text you want depending on your device. But inside the book, we wanted to do it dyslexic font. And so we put, a little blurb in the beginning about why we chose this font. But you definitely want to have clear and concise wording, right? You want to have it QR code there, table of contents, like all of these things. You want to be able to read it. You don't want super fancy text no one can read. So the font really plays it big. And then also on fonts, we've had authors come to us that say, I want this specific font. Well, fonts actually are, some are, I don't know if it's called trademarked or copyrighted. Basically, they have licensing is what they have. And you have to purchase them. So you have to purchase a license from that font that is okay for commercial use. So it can be pricey to buy fonts if you want, normally a book only has 2 or 3 fonts, so it's not too expensive. But you definitely don't want 5, 10, 20 different fonts in your book. 2 or 3 is all you really need for your books. But I would say, that's mostly on fonts. But I would say for your book, I think the biggest mistakes I see are people not putting the table of contents correctly in there. I want to show you this book because the very first page you see when you open a book is the title page, right? So the title page is your first page. And that page should look like your front cover because that looks professional, right? A lot of authors will have just the text written out, which is what I have on this page. Now, someone might open this book and say, they have 2 title pages. What? Why do they have 2 title pages? Well, that is for book signings. So that is a little trick that we do for book signings because now you have the title page. And if I was doing a book signing with this book, look at all this real estate I have here to write my signature, to write a little note to who I'm giving it to when they purchase my book at my book signing. And if you don't have that page, then you got to put it at the very bottom right here, and you barely have a little bit of room. So that's what we always do when we do that. And then, of course, you have your copyright page and your dedication. And then the biggest mistake authors make, which we talked about earlier, was the call to action. So you can see here the call to action. We have a QR code, and we have a place for them to visit, and we tell them that they have a free bonus if they visit this website. Now, this is really key to have in the beginning of your book. And I've had so many authors say, well, I don't want to sell. I'm not a seller. I don't want it in the beginning. I only want it at the end. But that is a huge mistake. And the reason why is because Amazon has this really cool feature called Book Inside the Book. And they show the first 5 to 10 pages depending on how Amazon chooses that amount of pages that they show. So after the table of contents or before the table of contents, you want to have your call to action. And if you don't have it there, then you're not going to get that opt-in that we talked about earlier of people opting in and you finding out who your readers are. Because let me tell you, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and all the other bookstores, they're not going to tell you who's buying your book. They're not going to say, oh, here's the name and email of the last person who bought your book. They won't. So on the next book you write, or on the next thing that you're doing, you won't have those readers. You won't know who they are. So that's why we do a call to action, because we want to know who our readers are so that we can give them more value, give them more things to help them in what they're looking to get done, right? In their problem that they want to solve.
All right, so great. Recap all of that for us. We talked about the formatting. We talked about the size of the book. Is it formatted or not? Go through everything one more time, like a quick recap of those top 3 things.
Yeah, so the layout and the format, which is a huge thing. You want it really done by a professional. You don't want to do it yourself. If you've never formatted a book before, don't try it. It's pretty hard. You have to be a Word document expert or an InDesign expert. And if you don't know what InDesign is, you need to hire an expert. It's an Adobe product. I actually don't know InDesign. I know Photoshop. So I hire professionals to do all of our layouts for our book, because InDesign is what makes a really great book. And Microsoft Word can do a good job too, but you really have to know the ins and outs of Microsoft Word. You have to know how to make a table of contents, how to add headers, footers, page numbers, all the different things. You have to know how to use them. So layout is huge. And then, of course, the title page for book signings, the end matter of about the author. You want to make sure you have about the author in your book. And I've even had authors tell me, well, I don't want people to read about me. I don't need about the author at the end. Well, how are they going to know who you are and what you do? And if they want to follow you on Amazon or whatever, that's where you want to put that information. And your bio, that's a whole nother thing, but definitely your about the author, you want at the end. And then the call to action, we talked about that. I did want to tell a story about the call to action. So we had a author, Carmel Larson. She is the founder of Momney, which is an app that is kind of like the Tom shoes, where it's like buy one, give one. Every shoe you buy, they give a shoe. So it's kind of like that, but it's for childcare. So you can hire people to babysit your children, and they're usually in your community around you. And then for every hour that you spend, an hour is donated to someone in need of having childcare service. So it's really cool app. But she came to us with her book and her story of how she created Momney, and she didn't have a call to action in the front. And I had to explain to her, we have to have that call to action, because yes, this book is wonderful. It's your memoir of how you develop Momney. But if no one knows where to go to get the app, to download it, to use it, then how is she going to get more? The purpose of her book is to announce that Momney is a thing, and this is how it does, and this is the backstory of it. So she needed to have a call to action. So we were really happy to work with Carmel. She was one of the best authors that we worked with, because she was a very fast action taker. So she was like, yes, let's put a call to action in the front. And now people can just go there, go to momney.com. They can download the app and start helping and promoting for childcare. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest features of good interior layout is that bonus page, that call to action page at the front.
Now, I know we're unpacking a lot of information with you, right? We talked about the book cover. We talked about what's a great title and a subtitle, things that you should put in your book description, telling stories, the editing, the beta readers, and then, oh my gosh, formatting my book. I gotta do that. So, here we are like, it's like, okay, my question even about the format is like, okay, I can hire someone, but how do I know they really did it right? So Jen gave you some tips of these are things you should look for to make sure it's done right. We have a team of formatters that we work with, and Jen knows if they missed something. Our team, our inside team knows if a formatter didn't do something right. And so, it's a process. And we will tell you, it doesn't come back right the first time. It almost never does. So it's an imperfect, perfect process. So you're going to need to look at the formatting, which we do, and go, oh, this didn't make it right. This didn't make it right. Let's send it back one more time. Let's do it again, and just clean up these little things. It's just a little tweaking that we have to do back and forth to get it just the way that we want it. So keep that in mind.
Yes. I love it when an author comes to us and says, okay, so we're going to send it to formatting and we'll publish like next month.
Yeah.
It's like, well, When you get it back from the formatter, you probably want to read through it. You probably want to make sure the spacing, the layout, everything is correct. So that means when you give it as the manuscript, the actual edited manuscript, that it's the final. Because when it comes back from formatting, and then you're like, oh, I really wanted to add a paragraph here and a sentence over here and a picture over there. No, you cannot add anything after that, because then it will mess up the formatting. You have to redo the formatting again, because it's a flow, right? And same with that. That's the other thing that I want to address too, with the flow and the formatting. When you format a book for paperback and hardback, it's totally different than formatting for a Kindle. And it's really hard for our authors to understand, especially if you're not very technical and haven't ever used a Kindle reader or an iPad with the Kindle app, or your phone with the Kindle app. So the Kindle app is basically a place to go to read your book. And if you've never opened that Kindle app, you don't understand. If you've only opened hardback books, you don't understand how a Kindle reader works. And so when our authors come to us and I say, well, here's the EPUB file, and I walk them through how it looks, and they say, well, that doesn't look like the paperback layout we just created. And I say, you're right, because it's for the Kindle. And a Kindle has a flowable content. And depending on the choices that you put in that Kindle reader, like I could say my settings, I want to scroll to read. I could say I want to flip pages like this. I could say I want 2 pages side by side. Like there's so many different settings on the reader. I can choose Georgia font. I can make it big or small. I can do, so many different things. I can have black background, white background, cream background, all these different settings, where if I was to just submit the PDF or submit the layout that we did for the hardback, then it's not flowable content, and that reader can't have a Kindle experience. They can't have the ebook experience of choosing what they want, having the font as big as they want, having, I don't know if you know this, but Alexa, if you have Alexa, she will read your book for you if it's in your Kindle library. And she's pretty good at it. I actually had her reading me as I was driving to the lake, The Circle to Paris by Linda F. Barrett, one of the authors that we published. And Linda has a lot of French words in her book. And Alexa was reading in French, so it was great. I don't know French, so I don't know what she was saying, but it was great.
So if you don't take anything away from everything that Jennifer just said, it is that you probably don't want to try to do this yourself.
Exactly.
You probably want to get the experts on your team.
When you work with us, we've got you. Now, Kanika, I think martial art, she had a question, Jen. She said, in the Kindle ebook, do you have page breaks for different chapters, or do we let the verbiage flow?
That is a good question. So you definitely have to have different chapters. And the reason why is because maybe this happened to me, actually. I'm going to just give a secret. When I was reading 50 Shades of Grey back in the day on my Kindle, my kids got a hold of my Kindle and they somehow went to the end, and all of a sudden I'm reading the end and I was like, what happened? I missed the whole middle. All of a sudden she's married. What? I don't know what's going on. And I realized that I had jumped. So if 50 Shades of Grey didn't have chapters in there, I wouldn't have known. So I would have had to scroll and figure out where I was. So they have an NCX view or a table of contents view on a Kindle. And that's where your different chapter breaks are. So you wouldn't want to just submit your Word document that just flows with no chapter headings or number page, all of those kind of things. You definitely want a professional to format your Kindle book so that it has, page breaks. It has even the, what's it called? The asterisks, or in Linda's book, we used a fleur-de-lis as her breaks for her section.
Flourishes.
She's asking about, the page breaks. More specifically, the page breaks,
Yeah, but even with page breaks, like, yes, you can have page breaks if you want them, if they're in the right place. Because a lot of times there's hidden page breaks that I find when I am looking at manuscripts and formatting manuscripts, that they thought there should be a page break there, and it's not. You don't have page breaks on every single page. That's not how it works. Yeah. And it looks like we have a few other questions.
Do we?
Page breaks. Yeah. Does that make sense? So you want page breaks where it goes, but not on every page. You want them. Yeah. You really don't need page breaks except for at the chapters. The section breaks is really what you need.
Well, we are going to move on to some marketing. Anita, you had something you wanted to say.
No, I was just saying, it sounds overwhelming, and we don't expect for authors to come to the table knowing how to do this stuff. Most of the authors we work with kind of don't want to know how it's done. They don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
They just want a finished book that's amazing. And that is what we're expert at with Elite Online Publishing. We make sure to get it right from beginning to end, from the covers, the front and back cover, to the interior, to the marketing, the setup, the planning, the strategy for your book, and getting you into #1 bestseller.
Yeah. And we're going to talk briefly about, we do have an offer. If you're on the table and you're trying to get your book done, you've been wanting to get your book done, and you're like, that sounds like a lot of work. I would just love you to do it all for you. So we are offering a publishing package and a copy editing package. And we're going to give you a little bit more information about that coming up, but I'll real briefly kind of tell you what that is. And then we'll go back into diving into some of our other teaching that we're going to give you. So we do.
Well, and we don't normally do this, right? Like we don't normally keep our publishing and editing together. So this is a very special treat that we're giving you to have that coaching, editing, and publishing all together.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So normally this publishing package, we charge $25,000 for, and Anita charges another $7,000 for this editing package that we're doing, or $6,000. So we are creating a package where you're going to get editing and author coaching and the beta reader. She's going to go through your manuscript. She's going to give you coaching for clarity and story flow. And then we are going to do the cover design. We're going to do the title and subtitle for you. We're going to search all those keywords for you so you don't have to do it and figure it out. We do global distribution of the ebook and the print book. And then you work with our publishing team and coordinators. You get proof copies. We're going to do an Amazon bestseller campaign. And we do an Amazon author profile, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, and a press release, a book video trailer. And guess what? You're going to be a guest on our podcast interview. And we have a ton of other marketing services. But let's go back and dive deep into, all right, what is an Amazon author page and why do I need one? This is one of the benefits of being an author. Amazon works for you nonstop. Their SEO is free. So you're like, what is the other benefit? Well, how much do you pay for SEO for your website or for your personal brand every year? Trying to update that and do that. I know people are paying thousands of dollars a month for that. Guess what? This is free with Amazon. It's included when you have your book published. So I'm going to show you an Amazon author page. Jen has a couple pulled up. We're going to show Amy Lawrence because we talked about her just recently in her cookbook.
Do we want to show the ones that aren't good first?
Sure. Okay, we'll do like a before and after. Okay, so we picked out 2 author pages. Now, an author page is like a Facebook page, right, for authors that lives on Amazon. People can follow you there. So we chose 2 people that we thought you would be familiar with. One is called Robert Iger. Robert Iger was the CEO and Big Cheese at Disney for years, right? He's the one who did Buzz Lightyear and all these famous movies. So we have his book. And then the other book we chose is the founder of Starbucks. We thought, well, you're going to know who that is, right? Everyone knows what Starbucks is. So This is Robert Iger's book, The Ride of a Lifetime. He was done by Random House Publishing. And this is his author page. So imagine if you had a Facebook page and you didn't have a headshot in it.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Nothing. So, and now jump over to one of our other ones first. So just as a comparison, jump over to Amy's because I want them to see. So look at Amy's, and she has videos. She has her blog post. Scroll across there, Jen, and we're going to see all this wonderful content that's in there. Look, and all of that has keywords. All of that makes the search engine and Amazon work for you and show up. She has testimonial videos. She has videos of her talking about her book. Her blog post is new every week. It populates. So if you follow her, you're going to get notification of her blog post as well there. Then click on her bio.
Well, I was going to say, and even the book video trailer, like I've had authors say, wait, what? I'm getting a book video trailer? Usually you have to pay thousands of dollars for those. So definitely you want a book video trailer, and we give one in all of our packages.
Yes, that's a really, really good point.
It's being a little slow, but
I'm Margie, and I am
this isn't the book video trailer, but you can see that's a testimonial. So, okay, scroll down here. Is it where you want me to
Scroll
go?
down here. Yes. And we'll show you a book video trailer in a minute. And so look at all our social media links are there too. So I can copy and paste those and put I want to find her. Where do I find more? It's all right there. And I learned all about her. Oh, and she has other books. Maybe I want to buy her other book.
Right. Well, and the other thing to note on these blog posts is look how, these are come in when she writes a blog post. So you definitely want to have a blog or a podcast or some type of feed on your Amazon author page, because what that does is it refreshes with new content, which means it's not a stagnant website, which Google loves new content. So that's why it shows up in the first Google search.
Okay, let's go look at the founder of Starbucks, Howard Schultz.
Here's Howard's.
There's Howard. So look at Howard really has the same picture twice, right? His headshot is the same as his other.
Yeah, right.
And he has one other picture. These are multi-millionaire people. They run multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies, and the publishing house, and they're kings at marketing, right? They're geniuses at marketing, but the publishing people that they chose to work with are not, and they didn't know that. And
and his bio is so short. There's way more to him than that.
Yes. So then go over. We have who is the other person we chose to show? Johnny Spirilla. So Johnny doesn't have a blog yet. He's working on that. He's brand new to starting his personal brand. He used to own Camping World, which is a $1 billion company. And he just sold out, and he's wanting to start his personal brand and share his story. But look he's got videos there. He's got pictures there. You can have 7 pictures, and not including your headshot, and 8 videos. So we do a book trailer video. When we do the video, it lives on your author page, but it also goes onto your YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, and any other social media that you have.
And then again, it has at the end of his bio here where to find him.
Yeah.
And he's got his social media links on that website. So we just put the website there. Awesome.
Right. So that's your Amazon author page. Let's talk a little bit about the book launch, right? So what is key to a book launch? So you want to get people involved. Part of it is some authors are like, well, I really don't want to ask people to buy my stuff, right? I just feel uncomfortable. So we try and tell them, but how many people do you think you could help if they bought your stuff and they shared it with other people, right? They're buying your content and sharing it with other people, but it's also a way when you're launching your business, it's a way to connect with your audience, and it's a way to connect with people in your list. And they're excited for you that you're doing something new. When people learn that you're doing a book, they still have that, oh, you wrote a book? Oh my gosh, you wrote a book? Wow, that's impressive. What's your book about? How long did it take you to write the book? Oh my gosh, I wish I could write a book. 99% of the time, that's the response that you get. Tell me where I can buy it. When is it coming out? So you want to create a book launch team, which is a list of people that you know will buy your book, will share it on social media, and leave you a review. So we're really kind of 2 parts of your book launch team. One is sharing it to everybody on your list, right? That you have this, let's say you have, even if it's 100 people or you have 5,000 or 10,000 people, you want to share it to everybody, but you want to share it like we call it a wedding list. Like if you were having a wedding, you were getting married, or one of your kids was getting married, you would invite everybody you know, right? You'd invite those top people that you know that really love you, that are going to show up to the wedding. They're going to buy your child a fabulous gift, right? And be fun at the party. So that's what we want for your interior book launch team, that special team. We want to make sure that they're going to buy your book, they're going to share it to everybody on social media, and they're going to leave you a book review. So that's the goal of that. And you're going to engage that list, and you're going to communicate with them. Let them know right away that this book is coming out. Even if it's coming out 6 months from now, 3 months from now, let them know. Get them a heads up. It's kind of like save the date, right? How often do you get to save the date for a wedding that's a year out even? Get it on their calendar. Let them know that it's coming, and engage your audience. And this helps propel your book. So during the launch, what we like to do is get as many sales as possible right when the book comes out. We call it scoring a touchdown on the first play. So as soon as that book comes out, you're scoring, baby. You are over the finish line. Let's get you scored. Get on that scoreboard. Let's get that populated. Let's have you hit #1 bestseller. And then we say, keeping that book on the 20-yard line, right? So you can keep scoring over and over again and positioning it that way, putting you in the best categories. So one of the keys is we talked about is that usually you can only get in 2 categories. But when you work with a great publishing house like us, we get you into 10 to 15 categories, not just in the United States, but in multiple countries. And people say, why does that really matter? Well, do you want to just be sold in one store on the corner, or would you like your book at Walmart sold at all the Walmart stores? Kind of the same thing. Wouldn't you like to be in all of the countries? Wouldn't you like to be in all of the stores that could carry your book? Or do you want to just be in 2 stores? So we try and get you. So when you think about countries, we target the countries that we feel like we have a footprint in, that you have a connection or a footprint in. And so now all of a sudden your book is in bookstores all across the country in different stores, right? And we're not going to put you in knitting if your book is about leadership. It's going to be in categories about leadership, but we want as many categories as possible. And because of our relationship with Amazon, they let us have all these categories. So that's the bonus. Now, we worked with McGraw-Hill, a traditional publishing house. We were shocked that they said, oh no, we just get 2 categories. We're like, what? We're thinking, we're this, we're a national publishing house ourselves, but we're not McGraw-Hill. And you're telling us you can only get into 2 categories? What's wrong with this? So not innovative. We're trying to say traditional publishing houses are dying. I'm sorry, but they are. They're old school. They're not keeping up. They're kind of like Blockbuster. If you're old enough to remember who Blockbuster is, that's what traditional publishing houses are becoming. So stay innovative. Be with someone who's on top of technology. Be people who get you in multiple categories in multiple countries. That's what you want when you're launching your book. Okay. So those are our tips on the book launch. And it's real important to be a bestseller. I get that. I don't really care if I'm a bestseller. Does it really matter? I just want my book published. I don't really care. Well, you heard Kate. If you were on here when Kate was on here, she got all this credibility because she became a #1 international bestseller. It wasn't just because her book came out. They contacted her because they said, we love what you're doing. Oh my gosh, you became an international bestseller. We want to have you on our stages. And she made $30,000 in a couple of weeks. And they introduced her as an international bestseller. It counts. It's credibility. I was Miss Michigan. Okay, so my story was when I competed, I was actually first runner-up. So was I really going around saying first runner-up is Miss Michigan? No, I'm not going to say that. It's just not. It can be impressive, but it's not like I'm going to put it on my resume. So long story short, I ended up becoming Miss Michigan. I put that on my resume that I was Miss Michigan. I wouldn't put that I was third runner-up or I was first runner-up. But I'm going to put that I was Miss Michigan, right? So it's kind of the same thing with an author. Do you want to be the best, or are you happy just to have your book out there? And it's great to have your book out there. I don't want to discount that. It's a huge thing and a huge accomplishment to get your book published. But if you're going to do it right and become #1 and become the best of the best in those categories. It just says something else about you. It says something about your business. It says something about your dedication. It says something about your expertise. It says about that you do a good job and you do the best at whatever you're doing all the time, right? You're not just going to throw something out there. You're going to do it because you know it's going to be the best and you want to be the best because you want your clients to have the best service and be the best to work with you.
Yes, I love that. Well, thank you for all that knowledge, Melanie. That's so much great information. I love it. Well, let's talk about the offer and send everyone to igniteyourbestseller.com if you'd like to work with us. Go ahead, Melanie.
Sure. All right. So pull that up, Jen, so they can see what that is, what we're offering today.
Okay, and we'll let Anita go. Thank you, Anita, for being here.
Great being with you, ladies.
I appreciate all of your expertise and all of the things that you brought to the table today on our live.
Excellent. Always fun. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
And you will get to work with Anita. So that's the other thing you have to think about is who do you want to work with? Who do you feel confident working with? Who do you feel like you gel with? And that's important to us. We don't just pick everybody that walks in our door. We get that question. Well, do you work with everybody? No, we don't. So first of all, our criteria is you have to have a book that's inspiring, that's motivating and or educating. And we feel like you can change the world or change somebody's life and make it better. And then we want to hang out with people and work with people that have great energy, that are action takers, and that like to follow a proven process. So, that you don't need to question us. We've done this. We've published over 3,000 books. 3,000 books. Holy cow. And we made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. So we do know what we're doing, but we also want to listen to you and your business and work with what your goals are and align with what your goals are. Okay. And it is a lot of work and it does take a lot of time and energy. I always equate it to building a house. I've built several houses. I did some real estate development. And listen, I didn't want to know how to be an electrician. I didn't want to know how to cut tile or lay a wood floor. I wanted to hire the best of the best to make it look great and to do it and do all the engineering and the architect. That was not what I do. I wanted to spend time doing what I did best. And so that's what we're offering you today is you do what you do best, write the great story. Come to us. We're going to publish it and make it a #1 bestseller. But we're not just going to do that. We're going to have Anita Henderson work with you, and she's going to make sure you have a great book. She's going to make sure that your content is awesome. So normally we don't put these two together in one package. They're sold separately, and we charge a whole lot more for this. So with Anita, you're going to get the insight and direction and the feedback that you need on your writing. Right? And then she's going to run through and make sure that the content is good, that the flow is good, and that you have the most important thing that she talked about, which is story. Right? And she's going to make sure that you have that platform and you have a call to action in your book. And then she's going to do the proofreading, and she's going to, and if you buy it today, you're going to get beta readers as a bonus. Then for the publishing, okay, all that stuff, scroll back down a little bit, Jen. There we go. So for all that publishing formatting stuff that Jen went through, eek, I don't want to do that. I'm so glad that we have a team that does that they've been doing it for years. So it's formatting, not just your paper book, but your ebook, putting all those special icons. We had one that we did, I think that was like a little boat that someone wanted. We had an airplane because it was an aviation thriller that we did. So we did all kinds of special little things for that. We're going to work with you on your title and your subtitle to make sure that it has those keywords in it. Make sure that it's not like the book that we showed you that you're like, I thought that book was about golfing. So we want to make sure that you have all that. We have all the special technology. We have the AI. We have a team of experts. We run it through to make sure you have all of that. You're going to get global distribution. So what does that mean? A lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm on Amazon. That's great. But are you on Walmart.com? Are you available at Target? Are you available at Barnes & Noble? We want to make sure your book is available everywhere books are sold. So that means not just Amazon. Amazon sells the most amount of books, but we want you to be everywhere books are sold. And what that does also, it's an SEO thing, right? It's populating the search engine. The search engine sees that you're in all these different places. So it's better for your book and your business when we do that. So you're going to work with us personally with our personal publishing coordinator through the entire process. You're going to get proof copies and highlight source files, Jen. We didn't talk about that, but I can't tell you, we call it publishing handcuffs. Every week, I get at least 2 or 3 authors that contact me that have worked with other publishers, haven't had a great experience, want us to do a bestseller campaign for them, or want to relaunch their book with us, but they don't have their source files. So the definition of a source file is you have that formatted book that Jen talked about, both in your ebook and paperback, and the final version, all formatted, whether it's 6x9 or 5x8. And you have your cover files, your complete cover files. You have all of that. And we provide all the promotions like the book video trailer that we do. That'll be on a USB file as well. So you'll get everything we create for you. You're going to get mailed to you and it's yours to keep. You can do whatever you want with it. You always have that. Then, of course, we do an Amazon bestseller campaign. We guarantee it. So why do we guarantee it? Because we've done it with every single author since our very, very first book. We work hard. We work diligently. We just don't sleep until that book hits #1. So, and it's important to be #1. We talked about that. We're going to do the author profile where Jen showed you. We're going to make sure you have the right assets on there. We're going to talk about your business and what assets and videos should go there, what types of pictures should go on your particular Amazon author page. And then we're going to give you access to our 2 special portals. We have an author portal that has all of our author resources that you'll have access to, and our marketing portal that has all of the marketing resources. All of our secret sauce is in there. Every time something new comes up, we put it in there. We just had 2 new things that we learned about the ways that authors can market their books. And right away, we put that into the marketing portal. So it's constantly updated. So normally this whole package would be $31,000. But we're not selling it for that today. The price today is just for, drum roll, please.
$15,900.
Is for $15,900, and that's for pay in full, or you can do 3 payments at $5,967. So today you just have to do $2,000 to hold it, and we have a couple bonuses. Let's go to that bonus section.
Yeah.
So the bonus, if you act now, you're going to get our social media posts. So we have 100 social media post ideas for you that you'll get, and you'll get our posting guide. So you'll have a 30-day plan of what you should do to post on social media and things that you should create. And then the biggest thing I think also is the beta readers that Anita will walk you through all of those beta readers. Now, we only have limited space because this is a super special offer and we're getting into our busy season right now. So we're only doing it for 8 authors. That's it. Once we hit 8 authors, we're not going to let any more come in, and it's for a limited time. We're only going to keep this open for just a short period of time or as soon as it sells out. So if you feel like this is for you, you've been wanting to publish your book has been sitting there, it's almost written, it's partially written, you're thinking about writing it. If you're a business owner, you want a book for your business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a C-suite, you are wanting to write a memoir, then this is the program that you should be thinking about and getting. So you can click that link. Jen has that link posted up. I think, where do you have that link, Jen?
Yep, it's igniteyourbestseller.com.
Mm-hmm. So just click over there and look at it, read it, and see if this is the right option for you. Again, you just put the $2,000 deposit down, and we'll talk about make sure you're a good fit for us, and your content is a nonfiction author content is what we're looking for. And we're looking for action takers. We're looking for people who know how to follow a process, and we're looking for fun people to work with. Honestly, we want people that are joyful and happy people and positive people, and someone we'd like to hang out and do karaoke with. Because we want this to be a wonderful process. We call it the Elite Online Publishing family. When people join us, you're part of our family. We don't just publish your book and say, see you later. We're constantly in communication with you. We just had an author call us yesterday. Hey, I have a question about this. And so we were happy to help them and walk through that. And then we check out your things. Jen just found for an author yesterday. We're always checking out our authors. And one of our authors, somehow Amazon linked these books that didn't belong to him. It was
same author name, but not his genre at all. So
yeah. So she got the books taken off. So they did. It was like and I will. He is more of a political type book and a leadership book. And these were kind of like sexy books that were linked to him. You're like, whoa, that doesn't fit at all. That's not good for your image. So we got those taken off for him right away. And he published with us 3 years ago. So again, we like to call it the family, that when you're with us, that you stay with us. We have authors that have published multiple books with us. This is a super special offer. It's normally $31,000 for under $16,000, and you can get in the door by putting a deposit down of just $2,000 today. So we would love
the limited time as well, right? So we're not going to have this price forever. We're going to be taking down the website once we're full with the 8 spots. So this only is for 8 people. That you might be watching the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. And if you're watching the replay, just know that you might, you want to, contact us right away and let us know that you saw the live stream so that you can get that special price.
Right. And the live stream won't be up forever either. We're only keeping this video up for a limited time. So if you want to replay it, do it over the next couple of days and take notes and send us your questions. If you have questions about it, we're happy to hear from you. You can reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. You can also hit our submission form tell us more about you and your book, and tell us in the notes that you saw the video. All right. So have a great day, have a great weekend, and get after and write that book. Like Nathan Johnson said, don't wait. Work on you and your brand. And like Kate DeLeo said, geez, why wait to she made $30,000 in 2 weeks after her book launched. So get after it and don't wait. Work on you, work on your brand. You are worth the investment.
Yes. We'll see ya. Have a wonderful day.